Welcome into day 3 of the Ultishow. Great to be with you. We're through 2 days of competition here at the World Games. We've already got some pool winners locked up. Alongside Robin Fenig, I'm Charlie Eisenhood. The United States has won Pool A and Canada has won Pool B. So why don't we just start with those two teams and then we'll dig into the other games. USA today taking on Germany in the opener, and it was just a tremendous matchup. Goes to Universe Point, and USA getting a break to close it out. Dylan Freechild had a terrible turnover, a couple of points before that, to give Germany a break, and he comes up with a massive poach layout D and then throws the assist to win it. What did you think of what you saw from that one? The U.S. pushed to the brink.
You know, the U.S. came out hot. Germany was able to right the ship early, clean up their offensive efficiency. They went 2 for 3 in break chances in the first half, and that ended up being kind of the thing that pushed them over the top to take half. And then we saw some leads change in the second half. I just think it was mental resilience, physical defense, and efficient offense, honestly, by both teams for most of the game.
I really liked what I saw from Germany, and I heard that Germany actually felt really good about how they played and are not upset about losing the game. You think about what happened 3 years ago. They won all their pool play games, and then they lost the important games down the stretch and didn't medal. So what can they take away from this?
Good momentum that they can hang and compete to beat any team here. The U.S. is so deep, and honestly, I loved how we saw players kind of trying to stretch their roles a little bit from the German side. And also, I thought that they did some really fun things defensively. We saw really good physical defense, and I'm excited to see their matchup tomorrow with Japan. It's going to be a tightly contested match. I guess we'll get to that soon.
Yeah. We're going to preview tomorrow's games in just a moment. Claire Trope was great, dealing with a little bit of a hamstring issue. She missed a couple points in that one, but then was awesome in the second half. The Ing brothers both played great, and on the other side, Levka and Conrad. As they go, it seems like Team Germany goes. So
I would also highlight Lisa Schutz.
Yes.
Really, she had some great saves for possessions. She played good defense, but I just thought she was so good at providing resets and keeping the tempo high for the German offense. Kind of the unsung hero. Not as flashy, but really, really clean play from her today.
And then let's talk about the Canada-France game. Canada coming out on top of that one. Both teams had some really nice moments, but ultimately Canada, they just look like a completely different team than we saw this tournament 3 years ago.
Yes, they have a lot more confidence. They seem to trust each other fully, and I just love how smart their defensive game plans are. They threw a lot more zone, a lot more poaching and switches, and really challenged the French defensive line when they had their offensive opportunities. The women matching players on Canada, just textbook defensive performance again in back-to-back games.
Yeah, and the French, it felt like just a couple of mental mistakes at times, some bad turnovers and maybe some choices they might want to take back, kept them from being able to win that game. But they go into tomorrow with a huge game in front of them and a couple of key injuries, unfortunately, plaguing them going into tomorrow. So how do they regroup from this game and get ready for tomorrow?
If they end up having to play down to 12 players, it's such a hard tournament to only have 12 players in, especially against a team like Colombia, where their offensive structure, they're constantly moving. It takes all 14 players to level up on defense to be able to contain that Colombian attack. So it's going to be a really tough game. But again, France is young. The players who are returning tomorrow will recover. And I think that's one of those things. You have youth, and there's some inexperience maybe with some of the offensive looks, but defensively, I think that means they're going to be able to keep the gas pedal down and get those opportunities.
Colombia today destroyed Australia, it felt like. I mean, the final score not even as close, maybe closer than the game actually felt. Just one turnover for Colombia in the game. The Aussies look lost out there.
I really feel like their offense is just too spread out. A lot of those easy kind of passes to take advantage of poaches, they're too long. Throwers are rushing them, they're turfing them. But honestly, the stack is completely disconnected from the handler set. Any continuation cuts, they're too long. And Colombia played such good defense. I don't know why the Australians didn't try to test them deep with their man-matching players more. But, if you're Australia, you got to go back to the drawing board. Colombia was very swaggy, very confident. They played with so much joy, that was the performance we expected from them yesterday. I can't wait to see them tomorrow. That game against France, it's for who is going to make it to the semifinal out of Pool B. And that's, I think, what we predicted, that it was going to be tough matchups. And I'm really excited for the setup for this game tomorrow.
Well, really quick before we get to that, because we got to talk about tomorrow's key games. Japan comfortably beating China today. Big Chinese crowd once again, maybe even more people here than yesterday. Super fun energy here and some nice moments from China, but Japan clearly outclassed them. And maybe we can just use this as an opportunity to talk about the Japan-Germany game tomorrow. Those two teams haven't faced off at the World Games for 20 years. It's 2005, back when the World Games was in Germany. So totally different styles. What do you expect in that one?
Well, Japan, again, played a very clinical, clean game. They only had 2 turns, I think, the entire game. We got to see a lot of those hucks that have come to highlight what Japanese Ultimate's all about. But we also saw the young players really stepping up to make those throws. I think the women matching throwers on Japan did so well to effectively break the mark. And I mean, the transition offense from Japan, you need to put a mark on quickly. They were so quick in transition that there was no opportunity for China to even find a matchup with how fast-paced Japan can go from defense to offense.
So with that in mind, they're playing a team in Germany that's, got maybe a size advantage, not necessarily an athleticism advantage. What do you think we're going to see from those two styles going up against each other? And kind of feels like Germany relying a lot on some key stars on their offensive line.
Yeah, I think that Japan will be patient enough until they find the right matchup that they should work through. We saw a lot of different players stepping into the backfield today on both their offense and defensive line. I think that they're patient enough and technically proficient that when they find the matchup in every point, they'll be able to exploit it. Germany is really going to have to bring a tough marking game and reset defense game if they're going to limit the production of offense for Japan.
All right, and then the other key game tomorrow, of course, is going to be the Colombia-France game. Winner of that game also will get into the semifinals. France down a couple players, but still, as you said, they've got plenty in the tank, especially with the young talent on the team. Colombia looked totally revived today. What do you expect in that one?
The man-matching players on France, they're going to have to attack deep with them. I think that Canada, with the size and athleticism that they have, really forced France to play a reset-heavy game. So if France can lean into the style that they played against Australia, they should come out on top. Colombia does not quite have the height, and so many of those man-matching players. I mean, Elliot Bonet could have some really posterizing grabs.
Yes.
It's really going to come down to, I think, how efficient they are at connecting in the deep space. Defensively, though, the women matching players on France are really going to have to step up. This quick style of play, a lot of the France defenders, they're taller, playing against that lower center of gravity, quick agility style. They're going to have to really work hard and to stay locked in on their matchups. I think part of their defensive game is kind of letting the buffer grow and then tightening it on and under to get those blocks. We see Camille Blanc do that. Yeah. Zoe Forget does that very routinely, but they're going to have to stay tight the whole time. And they're up to the challenge, but it's a totally different style than they're used to.
Well, it's really going to watch the tape from the Canada-Colombia game and take some cues from that. I mean, the French offense looked pretty darn good today. Their D-line offense, on the other hand, struggled to get into the end zone. So it's going to be a fascinating game. I mean, we're going to have to decide who's going to get to call which of those games. I think I know what you're going to want, but we'll discuss that over dinner. Fun day here. What was your favorite moment today as we wrap up?
Honestly, there was a play in the China-Japan game. Leo kind of laid out the side of the end, towed the sideline, and the crowd just erupted. And there were a couple just sky grabs from China that crowd just totally went nuts for. And being up in the booth, it was kind of like the stands were moving a little bit. I haven't had that kind of moment, that kind of energy at a game is not when I'm not on the field before. So this was so exciting to have that many people to be here to support the home team. That was so special. I'm so glad that I've gotten to have that experience.
Well, China's not going to be in the semis or the finals, but I do hope we get to see that same kind of energy coming through with the local fans for the big games at the end of the week, because it's going to be quite a show here, I think, with these final games. That's going to do it for Ultishow Day 3. We head into tomorrow with 2 games that don't really matter. And I guess I'll just ask one last question. How do the coaches of those teams that are already clinched, USA and Canada, approach those games that don't matter? They've already clinched the pool, but you have a short roster. So you can't really sit starters. There's no such thing with 14-player roster.
No, and I think both of those teams are going to approach their games to win cleanly and efficiently. You know, both teams can clean up their offenses and lean into their systems a little bit more. They both like to rely on the full depth of their roster, but they want to get they want to find their perfect game this weekend, and ideally in that gold medal match. But it takes that momentum every single game to polish the edges slowly and build that momentum, because this tournament really is a marathon. It is not a sprint.
Australia and China playing for pride tomorrow. So join us for the games. We all begin at 10 a.m. local time. That's 10 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks for tuning in. For Robin Fennig, Charlie Eisenhood, we'll see you tomorrow.